Hey, so I started my solo travel journey a little over a year ago now in Costa Rica when I went by myself for 2 weeks, completely alone, knowing absolutely no Spanish. Didn't even really know anything about Costa Rica. I would have definitely went a little bit deeper in my research if I were to go back. But I started my solo travel journey simply off naivety and openness and optimism and just wanting to see the world and wanting to get uncomfortable. And I can tell you right now, I definitely experienced that. And over these past couple months, I have been traveling South America. I'm currently in Chile. I was in Peru last month. I was in Colombia in January, at the beginning of this year. And I've learned a lot of things through solo travel. And I wanted to dive into make a video on some of those things that I've learned through solo travel because for so many people, they find me absolutely insane that I know no Spanish, nothing about the places that I'm going. And yet I still put myself in those positions to get uncomfortable and do it, do it anyway. So the first thing that I've learned and I've really recognized is that most people are simply existing. They are not living. A commonality that I've noticed in my travels and the way that I live my life is that people are truly fascinated how open I am to just going from place to place and just not really being very spontaneous and not very planned in my operations in the way that I live my life and the places that I go. And like, great example. I'm in Chile right now. I got here last night and I decided to go to Chile and Argentina next week, the same day that I thought I was going to Panama. So I was going to go to Panama after I went to Peru, and I was going to go from Panama back home to New York. And in the same day, I decided, I don't really want to go back yet. I'm already in South America. I was in South America a few months ago. Let me take the time to really expand out and see other places. I planned on going to Peru. Didn't plan on going for about a month, but I went for about a month. And now I'm in Chile. And I was just open. I was just open. I was excited and I look forward to finding things to create novelty in my life. And so I never get sick of it. So I never get sick of this life because I feel like so many people go out into the world and never put themselves in positions to have things to be excited for, to go into scenarios where they are extremely uncomfortable. Checking into an Airbnb when you don't speak the language and your Wi Fi doesn't work and your service doesn't work and you have to speak to someone and you have to have the situational awareness to recognize, like, hey, I have a place here, but he's not seeing it yet. And so, like, you have to be able to manage that anxiety and all the things that come with travel. Every time I find myself in a situation where I'm nervous or I'm anxious or I'm annoyed or I'm stressed, I'm frustrated, any of that, I remind myself that I put myself in this position for those things to pop up so that I can feel the depth of this life. And I think I found myself, and I find a lot of people, reliving the same day over and over again, whether they're in the rat race or they're not in the rat race, whatever you want to call it, they have a 9 to 5 or they don't. They put themselves in a position to consistently live the same life over and over again. And I always thought, well, what's the point of living if you're not truly living? And so I think one of the best things that you can really develop for yourself is trust in yourself. And I think it's one of the best things that you can really cultivate, and one of the things that you have to put yourself in positions to see how much you really trust yourself and how much you're able to show up for yourself, because this one is universal. Like, when I first told people that I was going to Costa Rica on a 2 week solo trip, didn't know anything about Costa Rica. I really just booked the trip because I thought the Airbnb was cool and I wanted to get out of the country. I didn't know any Spanish, none, and I still know no Spanish. I definitely want to practice it more. But it was like everyone looked at me like I was insane because I was putting myself in a position where I didn't really know what was going to happen. I didn't know what I was going for. I didn't know anything, and I would have definitely planned a little bit different if I went again, the place that I went, the things that I did, etc. But it was like I put myself in that scenario so that I can see what I'm made of, see how much I trust myself, see how I feel about myself when I'm by myself for 2 weeks in a country where I look completely different than everyone. I stand out a lot, and I don't really fit in. And I think really just putting yourself in positions in where other people are probably telling you that it's dangerous to do, or you shouldn't do this thing, reminds me that most people aren't living. Like, when I went to Peru, people told me that how dangerous it was and how insane I was for going there. And I got there and the people were so welcoming and so warm and so inviting, from Urubamba to Cusco to Lima. Every place that I went, the people were just absolutely incredible. And I will definitely be back to Peru. I loved it. I got 2 tattoos while I was there. And I didn't even speak the same. Like my tattoo artist literally speaks Spanish and I speak English. And I was able to get 2 of my 2 favorite tattoos that I've got so far simply from someone that doesn't speak the same language as me, because I was able to communicate that well with someone that I couldn't even really communicate with. So I know that there's a part of me that is probably a little bit overly optimistic about the way that I lived my life, but I really do try to live out the name of this podcast. I've seen other people travel all around the world. And so if they can, I can too, and you can too. Like there's a reason that I made this podcast, you can too, was I want to live out that kind of lifestyle so that I can be an example, share stories from other people being an example, but also living out that kind of life. And I really have found that just putting yourself in uncomfortable positions is one of the best ways to really find solitude within yourself, trust within yourself, and excitement in the world. And that's what travel has really helped me do immensely for myself. And there was something that Jesse Itzler, Jesse Itzler, an incredible human that you definitely check out his work, said. And it was that you need to have, I think, like mini vacations, he calls them, I'm pretty sure, every other month. So to have something to look forward to. And travel for me, whether it's every other month or right now I'm traveling around South America, just jumping from place to place, it's just something to look forward to and something to be excited for and something where I am completely brand new. I've never seen the streets where I'm at right now. I'm going to explore later. But like just putting yourself in positions where you are extremely uncomfortable and you don't know what's going to happen and you don't know how prepared or unprepared you are. And you just have to figure it out. And I think a lot of life is just figuring it out, but not a lot of us put ourselves in those positions willingly. And so travel has been one of those things that is like me leaning into discomfort. I think a lot of people in the self-improvement space, a lot of the people I've had on my podcast really put themselves in positions where I call tactical stress, where they get uncomfortable, whether it's the gym or it's working out or it's running, it's doing like things physically that are really uncomfortable. But not a lot of people put themselves in positions where you're extremely uncomfortable in a different way. And travel has been one of those things for me, especially in South America, Central America, where I don't speak the same language and I don't know. And the world is just different. It's really powerful to put yourself in these kind of situations to really see what you're made of, how you handle yourself, and how really capable you are of dealing with the uncomfortable emotions that pop up more than anything, right? Like the environment is one thing, but what's your internal environment that is showing up in these environments? That's what I really get excited for, because when I'm nervous or something goes wrong or whatever it may be, there's always something that can go wrong, and what can go wrong probably will go wrong. But how do you deal with yourself when it's going wrong? That is such gold to really find out. I heard so much about solo traveling growing up, and not really any of my family traveled. I think I've traveled more than most of my family already as a solo traveler. And I'm just going from place to place, experiencing this life, because I know that when I get to the end of my life, I will wish that I said, I'm going to hope that I said, I'm glad that I did, not I wish I had. And I think a lot of people live their life in the I wish I had scenario, in whatever that means for you. And I think a lot of us are driven by how we're perceived by other people and not so much by how we actually feel day to day. And there's one more thing that I thought was really powerful that I've realized as I go through solo travel, is that a lot of people tell me that I'm lucky for solo traveling. A lot of people put me on a pedestal to say, dude, you're so lucky you're able to do that. You are so, and I am. I definitely am lucky to be able to do this. I've created a life in which I'm able to do this. However, that is my point exactly. I have created the life that I've been able to be able to travel, to jump from place to place, to be able to decide that I'm going to go to Argentina and Chile the same day and just do it. But when you put other people on pedestals and you tell yourself that you're not that kind of person, or that life is not meant for me, you are taking yourself off the hook and you are letting yourself off the hook, and you are pretty much telling yourself that I'm not that kind of person, and so I cannot live that kind of life. But the mindset that I have continuously reinforced throughout this podcast is that you can too, right? Like that's the whole purpose of the podcast, was to help people recognize what is possible in this world. If you're seeing someone else do something, me as that example, you can too. That's the whole purpose I started this podcast years ago, was because I was always so inspired by what other people were doing in life that I always just had this naivety and belief that, well, if they can, what makes it impossible for me? If people are traveling around Southeast Asia and they're traveling around South America and they're doing it by themselves and they don't have, the language, they don't have things figured out, what makes me believe that I can't do the same thing? What makes me believe that I can't figure out a way to make it possible? And a lot of people tell me, well, I don't have the income, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. And I'm like, well, most likely, if you're traveling around South America and you're in a place for an extended period of time, you will probably save money by being here versus being in the States, which most people that have come to me said that they're not capable of doing it. And so other than, flights, Ubers, stuff like that, in certain areas, like Ubers in Peru were much cheaper than Ubers in Chile. And I bet it's going to be the same thing for Buenos Aires, Argentina as well, and similar to Costa Rica. But it depends on where you go. And I think it also depends on how willing you are to be resourceful and figure out a way. But again, it comes back to this realization that when you get to the end of your life, you're going to wish that you did more. The things that you are going to regret are not the things that you did, but the things that you did not do. Die with Zero is one of the best books that I've ever read in my life, by a guy named Bill Perkins, who is kind of like this mindset of like, you have these memory dividends that you can create for yourself. A lot of us think about the money that we take on, and like it creates dividends over time if we leave it in savings accounts and all the other kind of things like that, or investments. But you don't think about the memory dividends that you're going to create for yourself when you put yourself in positions and travel other places and do exciting things and just have experiences in life. And so my question to a lot of the people that have come up to me saying, how are you doing it? Like you're so lucky, is what are you believing that is holding you back from creating it yourself? Because I have just taken on this belief that it is possible and done the work to make it possible. But it will never be possible if you hold the belief that it isn't. And so this was just a breakdown of kind of some of the lessons. It was like a really public journal, kind of just brain dump of some things that I've realized through solo travel. And hopefully it's valuable to you. But if you're thinking about solo traveling, DM me on Instagram. I would love to chat more and see if I can support you in your journey. I definitely don't have it figured out. I'm really just going along the way, but I think it's really powerful for people, especially in their early ages in life, or just in general, to find more love within themselves, to find more excitement in the world, to find more novelty, to find more just trust within themselves, to find so many things that you wouldn't expect to find for yourself. And this is the real big thing that I've noticed too, is that whether it works out exactly how you planned, or it works out or the opposite of what you planned and everything went wrong, you will still get something from it if you're willing to look for it. I appreciate you for tuning in. I will see you in the next one.